So you just got your elite receiver round one. Then you're coming around the turn round two. Maybe you pick up an elite running back like my boy Chase Brown or Bucky Irving or maybe even Josh Jacobs. And then you get to round three. And you just look at the options and you're like, insert curse word, yuck. Well, safe to say that's been a problem in my fantasy drafts and your fantasy drafts. And I'm going to walk you through some options today to solve that.
Touchdown! And he flips the ball to Rowdy to do with what he will.
What's going on, everybody? It's showtime. Welcome back to another video. And guys, we are going to talk about this disgusting third round that's leaving everybody just up in arms, don't know what to do. If I got to be honest with you guys, I'm going to show you what I've been doing. It's not like there's some deep sleeper out there that nobody knows about, that this guy's the guy to pick in every single third round. I mean, maybe somebody has a guy, but to be honest, there's really only a few options you could do, and then I'll walk you through that. But before we get to then, maybe you guys don't even know what I'm talking about because you haven't been practicing on Underdog. No, they're not a sponsor yet, but it's going to be a sponsor very soon. Underdog, please help your boy out. I don't want money. Just take my drafts. They got $1 drafts on there right now for like the next day. They have the puppy going on right now. Great practice. If you haven't already, watch the best ball video that I did to show you guys why you need to be practicing for your home league drafts that are probably coming up this weekend, next weekend, the weekend after that, Labor Day weekend. So make sure you guys jump on that. But if you've been practicing already, then none of this applies to you because you understand that these options just sort of yuck. So let's talk about some of the options before we break down the solutions to the third round, the dreaded third round, which has almost become a dead zone in itself, while, you know, the running back dead zone isn't a thing. And that's something that there's some couple videos out there. My boy Ron Stewart did a video on that. But this year's dead zone is not really rounds 4 through 7. And rounds 4 through 7, I don't really have problems with. It's this freaking third round that's just so ugly. So let's talk about the player case studies here. And first, I'm going to talk about a guy that I like a lot, but he kind of falls under this category of high floor, low ceiling type of guy, and that's Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, a guy who's got ultra talent. You look back at his career coming out of the draft, probably the best receiver in the draft. The problem is, I mean, Justin Fields has never been a reliable quarterback. And I know people say, oh, he supported DJ Moore, that one year. But, I mean, let's look at Justin Fields' career. He's on his third team now. He's never had over 4,000 yards of passing. He's just been a running quarterback wherever he's gone. And that's always been his first instinct. He's basically a one-look-and-run player. Even if that one look is Garrett Wilson, it's just he's never been able to support a prolific passing offense. Okay, he's just completely untrustworthy when it comes to picking receivers for him. And I'll be honest with you, I love Garrett Wilson, the talent, but every time I pick him, I'm just like, crap. I gotta watch Justin Fields play every Sunday. And I've been vocal about my disdain for Justin Fields. Nothing personal. I mean, I just don't think he's a good player and don't think he's a good quarterback. There's a lot of people out there that have tried to, say I'm wrong on this, but I mean, we're in his fifth year in the league. I think fourth year in the league at this point. He's on his third team. I mean, that's pretty evident in itself. So, there's just no upside here. I mean, and then you factor in, the overall philosophy. I know they're bringing in the Lions, kind of offensive staff, the guys that were under Ben Johnson and whatnot. But Aaron Glenn is the head coach. He's a defensive head coach. He's not going to want to pass the ball down the field. He's going to want to keep this ball on the ground as much as possible. And honestly, a guy who we'll talk about a little bit later, who I like, is Breece Hall. I think he's going to want to run the ball a ton. Okay, he's going to want to keep everything in front of him. Don't turn the football over. And I would assume that, after Fields kind of went through a little bit of a half year, I guess you could say, of that in Pittsburgh, of just, playing conservative, don't turn the football over, do what we ask. Aaron Glenn's probably looking at him like, hey, he could do the same thing here. And that's not going to produce fantasy points. That might get you some wins, but, that's really what these coaches are after. They're not after fantasy points. So in a case like this, it's just overall, I mean, and then you factor in the disgusting stench of the Jets. I mean, when has a Jets player, aside from Breece Hall, honestly, ever been a guy for fantasy that's just like you got to have him. I mean, how long do we got to go back for that? To, when Brandon Marshall was on the team. I mean, you've never wanted Jets fantasy players, and when you stock up on Jets fantasy player, I mean that is not a good sign. It's honestly, I'm still picking Garrett Wilson, but he's a complete risk. He finished outside the top 15 in 2024, but he's still being drafted as borderline like a top 12 guy. So, this guy's never, I don't think Garrett Wilson has ever finished inside the top 7. I mean, he might have, I think his rookie year, he might have ended up in near the top 10, but I don't think he's gotten back to the top 10 since. And I'm just worried that, again, it's even a worse situation than last year. At least he had Aaron Rodgers last year, but this year, I just don't, I think they're going to be a very run heavy team, and they're going to want to run the ball, play defense, and kind of go back to a sort of old school philosophy, knowing the limitations that they have at quarterback. So I like the chemistry between Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields. This might be the one positive thing we could look at, but man, am I just like very yuck when I got to pick Garrett Wilson every single time round 3, knowing that this could blow up in my face. Another player that I want to talk about who I actually like as a player, but I think his ADP is just a little too high, and that's Jackson Smith on Seattle. He's a guy who, I mean, same teammate of Garrett Wilson, very good player, solid year too. I mean, had a little bit of a breakout, but he's very volume dependent. Okay, and that's something that just worries me a little bit. And when you're talking about Seattle this year, when they made the change in the offseason from Ryan Grubb, who was the OC of Washington, very pass happy, throw the ball down the field, throw the ball every single play. To this year, bringing in Clint Kubiak, who's going to be a lot more of a balanced approach and honestly more of a run-first approach. It's pretty clear that Mike McDonald, as a defensive coach, he wants them to run the ball. Okay, no different than what Aaron Glenn. These defensive coaches don't want turnovers on offense. They don't even want to risk turnover. Okay, it's probably why you're seeing more than 75% of the league kind of shy away from hiring defensive coaches, because it's not really a great philosophy in the 2025 NFL to run the ball, play defense. There's a way you could do it. Honestly, look at the Eagles. Okay, they've done it successfully. Now, granted, they have great players on their team, which helps a lot. But, if you want to run the ball and play defense, that's sort of the level you got to be. When you're Seattle and the Jets, you're never going to win anything when you run the ball, play defense with sort of the mediocre talent that you have across the board. Back to JSN. When you're looking at him, I mean, that's just that alone is a huge turnoff to me. I don't think they're just going to be throwing the ball. Now, the positive to him is that he's going to be elevated into the wide receiver 1 role there, knowing that Metcalf he got traded to the Steelers. Tyler Lockett left the team. I mean, they brought in Cooper Kupp, even though Cooper Kupp, I think, is over the hill at this point. That's one thing that will give him a little bit of an upside, and maybe the case that you can play him a little bit more in the slot. Which is his number 1 position, considering that's what he did at Ohio State and got him all that production there. But you got a new quarterback coming in. Geno's not his quarterback anymore, so you got to work with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's been able to produce, but when you look at Sam Darnold overall, he's really more of a short or deep thrower type of guy. JSN's more of an intermediate guy. Sam Darnold, when he's kind of throwing that intermediate, side of the field, he's just really, it's not accurate. Sam Darnold can throw a bomb. Sam Darnold can dump it down, but I think Sam Darnold, when he's got to throw intermediate, it's just always been a little wishy-washy there, and that's kind of where JSN's going to thrive. So that's another one of my concerns, and we're talking about a serious pick here, guys. This is round 3. If this is a round 5-6 player, I would just say, F it, I'll take the shot, give me some upside. But we don't really have that luxury now. Round 3, we can't really win the draft, but we could lose the draft with these early round picks. I'm sure you guys have heard that saying before, but it's 100% true. You can't win the draft, but you could lose the draft. Okay, so even though these guys, they come off high floor, I mean, they're just really, I just think there's a lot of things that are capping their ceiling. And JSN, I think, falls under that category. Now, 2 more players that are on the same team that I want to talk about before we get to the solution are the Rams players, Kyren Williams and Devontae Adams. Number 1, I think the biggest problem when you're looking at these guys is, I mean, what the hell is going on with Matthew Stafford? I mean, the Rams just keep delaying. I mean, this is very, very, if I'm being honest, this is very similar last year to Christian McCaffrey. How it was, oh, he's fine. Oh, yeah, he's getting treatment, this and that. And, days are come. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the season. How, and he still hasn't practiced. And they, last week they were saying, oh, yeah, Matt Stafford was making all these throws in the pregame and he had a whole workout and all this. And, I'm be honest, guys. I mean, I would like to see it because I was watching the not to say that I was on the field, but I was watching the pregame show, for the Cowboys. They played them in the preseason, and the guys that were on the field, and I was looking for Stafford in the background, seeing where he was. I couldn't find him. So I don't know where this workout was. Maybe it was inside the locker room, and nobody saw it, and he was throwing the ball against the shelves or something. But I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm very, very worried about all Rams players because I don't want a Rams offense with Jimmy G. And let's also factor this into mind, guys. When we're looking at the Rams' future, obviously Stafford, I mean, I thought Stafford would have retired years ago at this point. Stafford's done. Okay, it's pretty clear now. I mean, if you can get him to week 1 and hopefully get 16 games out of him, that'd be a miracle at this point. I'm already lowering the Rams players on my draft guide. And by the way, we'll plug it again at the end. But if you guys go link below, purchase a draft guide, $20 to beat your buddies. Not that much, not that hard. I've already lowered the Rams players down to, Puka's, basically a 1-2 turn for me. Kyron, I'm still, 2-3 turn, but I mean, I want to lower him a little bit more. Devontae Adams, I'm lowering damn near to a 3-4 turn guy. And it's a lot of this is due to Stafford. I mean, Jimmy G coming in, he could be okay because Sean McVay is going to be able to tell him what to do. I mean, Sean McVay's just that wonderful of a coach to where he can, I mean, we saw what he did with Baker Mayfield coming off the plane and, beating the Raiders. So we know what this guy can do as a coach, but it'll be sufficient, but it's not going to be the same. And back to what I was saying earlier about the future, I mean, the Rams picked up a first-round pick. I think it was a trade with, maybe it was with Atlanta, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure. I forget the team. It might have been Atlanta, but they picked up another first-round pick going into this year's draft. So they're going to have 2 first-round picks, their own pick for once, and then they'll have another team's pick. I'm pretty sure it's Atlanta. I don't want to look it up and waste time. But, who's to say they're not going to combine those 2 picks and go trade up and get a quarterback? I don't think they'll get, Manning from Texas, but they're probably going to go get a quarterback. So when you're in that sort of predicament, you're probably teams that go get quarterbacks. It's not like the year before they were a playoff team. I mean, they were a pretty bad team. That's why they're up there. I mean, even if they aren't a bottom 5 team, they're usually in the bottom 12, 10. And I could easily see the Rams in that category this year. So that alone is a second reason in itself to where I'm not really big on the Rams players. And then when you look at Kyron Williams, I just worry that the only thing is the volume's going to catch up to this guy. I mean, I still have him as a 2-3 turn guy, and I'll still pick him. Honestly, if he gets to he's one of the top guys in round 3 that I'll probably pick, and I'm not smiling when I pick him, but I'm like, okay, I could do this. The only thing that it's a slight concern with him, it's just, do the carries add up? I mean, he's almost at like 1,000 carries, it feels like, in his career. And they did bring in Corum and, Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. Those guys can kind of be more of rotational guys this year. I mean, they still paid him, so he's going to be the starter. He's going to be the workhorse, if you want to call it that. But I just think it's, at this point, I mean, we're at that little bit of a, I don't want to say, yeah, we're at a little bit of a concern with Kyron Williams to where it's like, man, this guy going to break. Okay, we already seen him get hurt before, so that's just a slight concern I have with him. But we could really, that's why I say slight, because how many guys can we say that with, for being honest? Now, Devontae Adams, aside from the fact that Stafford might not be there, I'm worried about the fact that we're sort of paying this wide receiver 1 price for him, and he's a wide receiver 2 now. And, granted, this is probably the best offense Devontae Adams has been in since he's been with the Packers. I mean, it's a lot better offense than the Raiders' offense. I'll give him that. But I just don't think that target share that he had when he was with the Packers, when he was with the Raiders, even last year when he was with the Jets, I mean, he had a good target share, but that's just because he had his buddy as a quarterback. But I don't think that target share is going to be there anymore. And we're still paying round 2 to 3 price on him, basically paying like a wide receiver 1. And to me, I'm not really excited about that. I'm excited that a talent like Devontae Adams is being put in the hands of Sean McVay and being responsible for getting the football. But I just kind of wish that was like 3 years ago rather than this year. Hall of Fame player, great player, but kind of why I'm just sort of yuck on it, because I just don't think we're not looking at Davante Adams in the future. We say the name Davante. This happens all the time with fans. We say a big name. We say that prima donna's name who caught the ball one hand and he's the greatest player of all time. They say his name. Oh my God, he's a great player, right? But we don't look at what this guy's done going forward and the little bit that we know now. Okay, we say the name Davante Adams. We think, oh my God, he was all incredible all those years on the Packers, but that's 4 years ago, right? We're not looking at Davante Adams going forward, who's 33, 34 years old, and doesn't really have much time left in this league. So I think that's kind of the ideology and sort of the thinking that I want you guys to get into going forward. What are we looking at for the projection? That's all it really is. And it sounds very simple, but the brain only goes off what we know. Okay, which is why I'm sort of big on these rookies, because a lot of these analysts out there, we don't know these guys, so we'll just slap them on the bottom. All right, it's projection. Okay, so we got to project forward. What is Davante Adams? And I just don't think he's a wide receiver 1 anymore. Now I'm going to get into the solution for what you can do for this round 3 dump and how you can come out of it okay. The number one solution you could do, and it's not a solution that I'm really like, I feel fixed. But just take an elite quarterback and keep it moving. I've talked with a couple guys out there in the industry, and I've asked them, hey, what do you just off the record? Hey, what are you doing in the 3rd round? And that's probably the top solution that they've been coming up with. Just taking Josh Allen if he's there, taking Lamar Jackson if he's there. No, I'm not. And everybody's gonna say, oh, you're biased. No, I'm not a fan of Hurst. I'm not a fan of Daniels. I don't want those guys. Okay, personally, if you guys want them, go ahead and pick them. But they're not on my draft guide. I don't want them. I'll gladly take Josh Allen in the middle of the 3rd round if he's there. I'll gladly take Lamar in the middle of the 3rd round if he's there. The only problem is when you guys get to your home leagues, those are leagues that are typically casual, quarterback hungry, and those guys are probably going to be gone at the bottom of round 2. So this is really more of a solution in best ball leagues, or even some of the high stakes leagues out there. Take an elite quarterback. Okay. Nothing wrong with it. I've always been a late round quarterback guy. I even made a video. I had a TikTok out there that, I didn't really go viral, but, I preached late round quarterback. There's plenty of late round quarterbacks still, and I've gotten that strategy 2/3 of the time, but I've been more so this year. I've usually been a guy to never take the number 1 quarterback consensus, but I've been taking Josh Allen a lot more recently. I've been taking Lamar Jackson a lot more recently, and it's ugly in the moment, but then I get to round 10. It's like, okay, I don't need any of these quarterbacks. I can get a, Rashid Shaheed. I can get a, Josh Downs is falling a little bit because of his injury. Jaden Reed's falling a little bit because of his injury. Stevenson, who we talked about in the last video. Let me get one of those guys and just stack my depth up. And then I can get a backup quarterback, be Bryce Young or something like that. And that's it. I only need 2 quarterbacks because I have one of the elite quarterbacks. So it's not really the end of the world when you take an elite quarterback. I sort of made it out to be in that video like, oh my God, like, don't do it. Now the tight ends, I'm very much that way. Okay. I'm not for taking the elite tight end, but the elite quarterback I've been opening up to a whole lot. And I think that's I don't know if you really want to call it a strategy, because it's not like, it's not some super chaotic, convoluted, oh my God, like taking a elite quarterback. It's pretty simple. Just take an elite quarterback, keep it moving. Okay, don't even Kyron Williams or Garrett Wilson. Just take your elite quarterback. Pretty simple solution. But to be honest with you guys, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are probably going to finish higher and give you more points, even considering the position. They're going to finish higher at their position than Garrett Wilson will, his position, Devontae Adams will, Kyron, all those guys. They'll probably finish higher, and it's a little bit safe, but they still have that high ceiling, even though they're coming off MVP type of years. Considering the Buffalo Bills are probably going to be a good team, considering Baltimore is going to be, I think Baltimore has a chance to be the best team in the league if you're looking at their roster. So you want good players on good teams. Simple philosophy that's still good to this day. And then really the round 4 guys are the guys that I'm starting to reach on. I'll give you guys a few guys out there and break them down briefly. Guys that I'm sort of reaching around on. If elite quarterbacks are there and all the other options are just yuck, I'm not afraid to go reach on a few of these running backs. And the first guy I'll get into, and a guy that I've actually kind of this guy went viral for knocking him a little bit, but stuff has changed since then. And that's Amarion Hampton, who is basically vaulting into a clear-cut RB1 role with the Chargers. Literally the day after I put out the video, Najee Harris blows his eye out. We haven't seen Najee Harris since. They just keep saying he's running around the field and in a t-shirt, and I mean that doesn't really mean anything where the season's about to be here. The truth is, I don't think Najee Harris is going to play, and I was really concerned about his split. And look, I mean, this is probably, for a volume's sake, this is probably the most clear-cut path out of any running back in the entire draft, aside from maybe Saquon. I mean, this guy has no competition around him. I think after Najee Harris, it's like Kamani Vidal, who, is totally irrelevant. So, he's basically a third-round player now. I mean, he was a fourth-round player earlier in the summer, but he's getting moved up to the 2-3 turn. I mean, if Hampton's there in the third round, guys, he's probably the number one option you guys should go after. I still have him a little bit lower than a couple guys, but that's just a personal preference. But if you guys get Hampton in round 3, I think it's a great pick. Another guy that I'll get into who just signed his contract, James Cook. I mean, look, that Buffalo offense is a run-first offense with Joe Brady. They're going to be moving, okay? Josh Allen's there. Everything's intact. They're going to be moving up and down the field. James Cook, I think, led the league in touchdowns last year. Very safe pick. I mean, Ray Davis is there to alleviate a little bit of, the goal line work, which could be a little bit worrisome. But James Cook is a 250 carry, 50 to 75 catch sort of back, a very clear-cut, safe option. Round 4 player that I would feel comfortable taking in round 3. Another guy out there I'll briefly break down, Kenneth Walker. Really the only concern with Kenneth Walker is his health, but he's going into a contract year. I mean, this is a big year for Kenneth Walker. This is it. I mean, if he doesn't succeed this year, he's not going to get a lot of money in the offseason because of his health concerns. So he's got to go out there, prove that he can stay healthy for at least like 14, 15 games, produce 1,000 yards, produce 50 catches, and really stuff the stat sheet to get him a big contract or at least a franchise tag in the offseason. And factor in the scheme change that we talked about earlier with the coordinator shift. I mean, they're going to be a zone run first team. I mean, this is going to be, they want to run the football, and Kenneth Walker is the number one back there. I do see them integrating Charbonnet a little bit more, and I know people have that concern, but Walker is the one. Walker's going to be involved in pass downs. I mean, Charbonnet is only a slight concern for me. He's already been in the league for 2 years at this point, and we still haven't seen Charbonnet make it to a point where he would be a split. And I like Charbonnet coming out of UCLA a lot as a prospect, but we still have never seen him make it so competitive to where he's making it a split. So that's why I'm not really too concerned with it, because if this guy couldn't do it year 1, year 2, why is he going to do it now? All of a sudden he got so much better? Maybe, but I just don't see that being the case. So Kenneth Walker's a clear-cut RB1 into a contract year. He's hungry. I'd reach around and take him in the bottom end of round 3 if possible. And then the last guy I'll leave you guys with, this guy, we already talked about him already, so it's not really worth rehashing. But if you guys want to go for a full breakdown, go watch the rookie video. Travion Henderson, everybody's just literally on his you-know-what. I mean, riding the train after that kickoff return he had in the preseason game. Everybody's just I've seen Travion Henderson go with the 310, 311 now, and I honestly think in the bottom end of round 3 we could consider talking about him seriously, because he's at that point now. I think it's a little bit inflated of a price, which is why I think I have him more as the last guy. I have Travion Henderson more as a round 5 guy still, and I'm okay if I don't get him at that price. I'll just find somebody else. I mean, there's multiple players to pick as well, but great player. I mean, great talent. We already talked about it. He's probably going to be the RB1. I still think he's going to be in somewhat of a split with Stevenson, which is why I like Stevenson more for the cheaper price. But, again, great talent. He's going to be involved in the passing game. For you guys in the special teams leagues, they get points for return yardage. This guy's a great option for you. But if you want to watch the full breakdown of him, go back to the rookie video. But there you guys have it. Don't feel down. Don't feel like, man, I don't know what I'm doing in the third round. It's been a constant problem that I wanted to make a video on, because even the experts, even the guys that are doing the best balls every single day like me, they're still having the same sort of problem. So if you don't want any of those receivers, fine. If you don't want any of those, running backs, fine. Take your elite quarterback, or reach around and take one of the running backs that I just talked about. and keep it pushing. Now, if you guys are in redraft leagues, you could just trade out of the third round and make it even easier on yourself. But these are for you guys that are in leagues where you really can't do that, or you're doing high stakes drafts, best ball drafts. That's what I've been doing to adjust the third round. So hopefully you guys come out of this feeling a little bit relieved and feeling a little bit okay with yourself. Like, hey, I'm not the only one with this problem. But if you guys haven't already, go down, link below, buy the Showtime Fantasy Draft Guide. This will have my updated board. I just made an update yesterday. I'm going to make another update a couple days from now. I'm going to keep updating the board until September 1st, September 2nd, whenever the kickoff is, which I think is the 4th. That Labor Day weekend is probably when I'll stop making updates, but that's still another 2 weeks away, guys. I'm going to be constantly updating this thing so you guys have a top board for your home leagues. You watch my videos, you follow the board, you guys are going to be in okay shape. So this also includes my player profiles on every single guy that I have on the draft board, my projections, my grades, reasoning behind it. $20, guys. $20 to beat your buddies. Combine this with 2 or 3 other of your favorite fantasy analysts out there and their rankings. Master it into your own consensus rankings. And there you go. Go into your drafts ready to dominate. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.